Good afternoon, everyone. As you can see in the title, I'm going to talk about video games, but more specifically about how to hack video games, okay? So these are the main points of my presentation. So first, I'm going to introduce myself very briefly. Later, I will give a very short introduction about the target audiences of this presentation. Later, I'm going to talk about, from my point of view, which is the basic knowledge and the basic tools that you need to start with game hacking. After that, I'm going to talk about the hexadecimal edition. After, how to handle the memory, how to edit the values. Of course, how to edit assembly code. And from that 2 points, I'm going to do a video demo because a live demo is a little bit risky. And for the end, I will talk about the stage 2 of this presentation / project. And for the end, the questions, okay? So this is me. My name is Jorge Belmonte. I'm a computer engineer. And currently, I'm working in a huge company as a cyber threat analysis team lead. And as I said, I used to play CTFs, and currently, if I have to play a video game, if the video game is a challenge of a CTF, I used to play it only currently. So let's start. But well, first I'm going to make a disclaimer. Please, such actions may be prohibited by the creators of certain video games and also could be considered in some countries. So if you abuse these techniques in a real game or you are using online platforms like Steam, Activision, Origin, your account could be blocked, your access could be banned, and you can lose all the games that you have there. So if you try to annoy another users, so you are becoming a rat kit. So please consider that, okay? And the most important thing, this sentence: with great power comes great responsibility, okay? So first of all, I want to highlight that this presentation is not a high technical level. It's just to show the basics, the fundamentals to start with this. So the targeted audience is if you are interested in how to learn about to start hacking video games, if you are a researcher or a developer, if you want to know to improve your security techniques, if you want to do a better flow designs. More things, if you are leading a community, you can foster your community if you try to do good hacks of the game. Or if you want to learn alternative ways to interact with running programs, this is this is the little spoiler that I want to talk in the stage 2 of the presentation. Well, which are the basics, the basic knowledge to know to start? Of course, hexadecimal, how to edit with hexadecimal editors. This is used to modify a file on disk, like saved games, configuration files, maps. You can also modify RAM values, assembly codes, opcodes, sorry, whatever you want. More things is the memory edition. This is the main topic inside the presentation, because with this you can add more coins, more health, energy, ammo, whatever you want in real time. And if you are good in that, you can develop your own goat mode in the game. And it's also used to bypass some anti-cheat measures. Of course, the assembly edition. This is very important and very impressive, because with cheat engines, you can see how the code is modified in real time, and you have instant reactions. So you can modify the game based on your own needs. And you can, as I said before, you can modify in real time with cheat engines, or modify statically with some disassemblers. This is related with online games. You need to know how the network works inside the game, the communication between the server with the client. You need to intercept the communications and try to know how are the packets formed, or just in case you will need to create a new ones. So in the left you have the required knowledge from my point of view, and in the right, for a more advanced level, of course, you will need a deeper understanding and knowledge of reverse engineering. You also need how to programming, because many times you need to develop your own scripts in order to modify some values. Cryptography as well, because the creators of the video games want to keep in secret what is happening in the game with or the files generated. All that information is encrypted. The kernel level is used in the nowadays games because this is a very high complicated issue, because if you want to interact with the game, most likely you will have to knowledge how to interact with the kernel instead with the memory or files with hexadecimal editors. You also need anti-cheat measures, and you have to consider that current anti-cheat measure is the own community inside the game. You can complain some behavior of some players, that it is a good point. You also need how the API of Windows works. Just in this case, is all related with the memory. The next point is about the graphics injection. This is used currently, for example, in this game, GTA 5. You can see the landscape, the normal roads, and some creators or some users decide to use game resources in order to create its own track in the sky. So in the case of GTA, this activity is allowed because the own creators try to do some races in the sky, but the races created by the users are also allowed. This is the most common use, the resource modification. So this is most common known as mods. So you can find multiple mods to have fun about your video games, to improve the graphical experience. This could be an example of how to improve the graphical experience. This is an advertisement from a TV show from Spain. And this is the most controversial topic, or the most dangerous, because booting and the automation are completely forbidden in the games, because you are being disloyal in the game. Because while a player is sleeping, you can develop your own interactions and get more money. That is more critical in an online RPG games, where the money, there are some players that used to use that type of programs to earn money or to wait special characters in some specific area in the map, and they try to kill, and they earn a lot of money later selling in forums or in other channels. Talking about the tools, the first tool that you need to hack video games, you need a game. So I recommend these two. The first is a Soul Cube. It's an open source game. It's an FPS game, very easy to hack and very good to begin in this world. And if you want to play with your friends, it's very fun, and it's free. And the second one is Squally. This is cost around 20 euros, and it is a game designed for game hacking. So, for example, if you want to defeat an enemy, you don't defeat the enemy hitting him or shooting him. You defeat him hacking the code. So it has in its own cheat engine, its own debugger, its own hexadecimal editor, and tutorials how to hack video games. So I really recommend this one if you want to initiate with this. Related with the tools, of course, Cheat Engine. This is the most important tool that we are going to speak in this presentation. And in the right, you have multiple cheat engines. Squaller is one cheat engine developed from the developers from Squally. You have Artmoney, Game Guardian, and the rest are cheat engines for Android devices. More tools you will need to use are disassemblers. You have the most typical disassemblers in the market, debuggers for Windows, Linux, iOS. You will also need hexadecimal editors and tools like RootedClass.net to do some modifications in real time in the game. It's similar like a debugger, but it's different if you have to work with a graphical interface. And also I put the link of a book of 600 pages. It's really, really good if you want to start. I also recommend it. And another thing that we need is a methodology, because nowadays there is no any fat button tool that you press and the game is hacked. That is confused with mods. Mods are not hacking tools. It's a bunch of scripts that allows to the user to take advantage of the knowledge generated by another hacker. So we have to search the values, which type of value that we need to search, compare the values that you search, modify the values, check if that modifications are good, most likely no, and you have to try harder and again and again and again until you achieve to modify the value or the action that you want to do in the game. So let's talk about hexadecimal edition. This is the old-fashioned of game hacking, because before the games used to store the data in files instead of memory, of the usage of memory. So it was really easy to hack video games modifying the files. So you can find hexadecimal values in memory, in code, in files. With that, you can edit resources, memory files, save files, configuration files, whatever you want. So this is an example of an structure of an hexadecimal editor. Here we have to work with the offsets. The offsets are like the addresses of the information, and with the bytes it's like coordinates. So with that, you know which is the exact value or values that you have to modify. This is really easy to understand, okay? But it's needed to begin with this. So instead to modify by hand the hexadecimal values, the community could develop tools like this. In this case, this is a tool for modify save files of GTA 5. And you can modify your garage, adding more cars, modifying the cars, changing the engine, the wheels, the transmission. You also change your character, the money, whatever you want. Very easy with a graphical interface. So how we start finding the files generated by the game. So first, we can do some OSINT. Okay, this is really easy. What is the save file stored in GTA 5? Okay, no problem. But you can use forensic tools like Process Monitor or Process Hacker for these tasks. For example, with Assault Cube, it's a game in a PC, so it's the same like it's a process. So I filter in this case, the files used by that game, which files are read, modified, queued, deleted. So if I want to go to the path where is that file stored, just press right click and you you go directly to the file and you begin your investigation, and you can find this. So the majority of the times you can find all in not in hexadecimal, in not a non-readable format, or sometimes you can find plain text and it is really easy to understand and to modify. So I want to talk about a real use case that happened to me. That game is Metal Gear Solid 5, and I bought a ultra-wide monitor, and was a very good experience playing that game in that type of monitors. But one day I received an update, and the resolution of the screen changes. So it was completely awful. The resolution wasn't balanced. The image was blurry. So the first thing that you have to do is, okay, I go to the options, and I try to modify the resolution value, but it was not possible. That was the maximum resolution I could have in the game. So I began an investigation. So first, I discovered that the resolution values were not stored in the executable file. It was only keep the aspect ratio. The aspect ratio you obtain dividing the resolution of your screen. So with that value, you transform the float number into a binary value, and you change the bytes with little endian, and I search that sequence inside the executable file. So I said, what happens if I put my native resolution? So I made the division. Sorry, I want to indicate this. I made the division. I made the conversion. I made another transformation, and I just changed the value of the previous resolution with this. And what happened? I was very lucky, and I achieved to change the resolution and play like a god in the game. Okay. So this is not a hack, but it's a special type of hack. Okay. So let's talk about memory edition. Well, talking about the methodology, the first thing that we need to know is what I have to search. So in this case, this is the assault cube, and I want to modify the health and the ammo. So I have to ask myself, which type of numbers are these? Can anyone tell me which type of numbers are these? Say it again? Yeah, of course, are integers, obviously, okay? So in this case, it's really easy because you know which information you have to search, but you have to know there are another data types. You have bytes, signed and unsigned integers, float numbers, huge float numbers, chars, string, booleans. So in the methodology, we have to, once we have the values that we want to modify, we have to compare and modify. So now I'm going to show you. I hope everything is okay. In this case, I want to modify the values of the ammo, okay? So the first thing I do is to search the value of 20. I start the scan. The scan is like a snapshot of the memory. So I need to find in the positions that the cheat engine shows, which are the difference with the next value that I'm going to have. So I made one shot. And I searched the value 19 in the next in the next snapshot of the memory. So I have 3 offset candidates that could store the value of the ammo. So I try the first. I edit that value. I add some bullets more. And as you can see, instantly I increase my number of bullets. And to be more to do it more easy, I add some description. I do the same with the health. The methodology is the same. I have 100 of life. I search the value of 100, and I need to reduce in order to compare. I search one candidate to try to kill me. Okay, I try to find a safe place to do the hack. So next step, I search the value of 18. This is the only offset that stores that value, and I will add more health. Okay, that is really, I think it's really easy to understand. But you can do the same with the grenades, the shields, the another weapons, whatever you see in the screen. So another type of numbers are the floats. The floats are used mainly in the coordinates because it's like an integer, but you can obtain more precise detail of the position. The Booleans are used to indicate us the state of an item of the game. In this case, for example, if the door is closed, the value of 0 is the same as false. And if I find that value, if I want to open the door, just to modify the value to 1, and most likely I will open the door. The same with the life of a character of the game. But what happens if I don't see the number? I have a graphical interface of the number, or values that I cannot see. For example, the coordinates. So one tip could be to consider that the less value of the bar is 0, and the maximum value of the bar is 100. So I know that are integers, so I begin to try in the cheat engine. This is a more complex way to find how the health is generated in this game, because each heart could be divided in a quarter. So you only have to, you only need to search the offset and what is happening in that offset. So cheat engine allowed to us to investigate which opcodes access to that memory offset, and we can see what is happening to the generation of that life. We will talk about this in the assembly code part. Talking about the coordinates. So we don't know which is our initial value of reference. So with cheat engine, we could scan for an unknown initial value, but we know which type of value we need to search. So in the case of the coordinates, I said that the coordinates are related with floats. Okay, so we did the first scan, and this is our reference for the initial position. So we need to compare. So as you can see, the brain go backwards, and if you compare the backwards movement, it's like you are decreasing the values. So you can search the decreased values in cheat engine. So with next scan, you have to analyze all that offsets and find which is the correct offset that allows you to move the brain alongside the screen. This is used to teletransportation, or if you want to go to another part of the map that is impossible to go. More things about the memory. The data structure, as you can read, is a set of memory locations containing the information of a single object. Here you have two fake tables of the player 1 and player 2. You can see the structure is the same, but the values changed are the memory offsets where the information is stored. Okay, this is the same values, no, sorry, the different values, but as you can see, has the same structure. With cheat engine, you can find the data structures of in the game, in this case, in this player. So in this case, I discover the range of offsets of the character that it keeps, for example, the health and the ammo. And I also achieved to activate the shield value. But if you investigate more, you can know the value of the grenades, the value of the coordinates. You can know whatever of the character, and you can edit wherever you want. This issue, I think, is a little bit boring about pointers, but for that people who are not familiarized with this, pointers is basically a memory address that contains another offset. Okay. With this, we can see, like in the game, are like connections between objects. Okay, you have the notation in C with the asterisk and the notation in assembly with the square brackets. That is very easy to have the information about this. Okay, no problem. But we have to differentiate between dynamic and static memory addressing. This is applied to game hacking, okay? So with dynamic is each time you start the game, the allocated objects and processes change it. So I close the game and I start again, the allocated objects are distributed alongside the memory in different positions. So talking about the static addresses, the static addressing is the relation between each object allocated in the memory. How we get that connection, we obtain that connection if we analyze the pointers, okay? And with that, we achieve to develop the global variables and the constants. For example, this is the game called RollXA, and it points to the element world. The world points to the element character, and the character points to the inventory. But what happens if we made a reset? The elements, the allocated elements, are in different positions, but the connections are the same. Okay. So with these connections, for example, if we want to modify the value of the coins, we have two options. Guess which is the offset of the coins, the offset who is keeping the value of the coins, or know the point path to know the global variable of the coin. So if I know the offset of the coin, when I start the game again, that offset is changed. So if I want to modify, I have to search again. So if I know the pointer path, I know the global variable. So with this example, we will see it better. So first time I play to Assault Cube, I discovered that that offsets were keeping the values of the ammo, the health, and the shield. But what happened when I start again the game? That values were not good, and I cannot modify. The value is not reachable. So the part where I put a static, I'm working with the pointer that goes directly to that pointer. So each time I start the game, I know that the pointer goes to the specific offset that was deployed in the memory. So I could save that pointer's path, okay? And I could save into a file, and I can share with the community my cheat. So as you can see in that page, you can see the cheat tables for the latest video games. So if you want to add more life, for example, in the ring, you can go to that page, load the cheat engine table, and begin to modify the values. So assembly edition. In this part is really easy. As we can see in memory edition, we just learn to locate data and editing it. But with assembly editing, we could achieve the code modification. We can inject code. We also change the game logic. We also could achieve to know how the anti-cheat or anti-debugging measures are working. We also be able to create bots, mods, and you have to admit that this stuff is not easy to learn because it requires a lot of time. So for assembly, we have different architectures. In PC, well, PlayStation and Xbox are like PCs, so it has the architecture of x86, 86 and 64. And for mobile devices, you have the architecture of ARM. Well, imagine that we have that enemy that each time we are hitting him, he summons a spell, and he begins to obtain 265 values of life. Well, with our knowledge or memory edition, we could know in which memory offset is the enemy health stored. So with a cheat engine, we also know which opcodes are accessing that memory offset. In this case, we have the extraction that you see in the picture. With add, you can see that is the action that you see in the screen. But what happens if I change the value add instead add? Sorry, for sub instead add, that I'm killing the enemy. This type of tutorials you also find in Squally, in the game of the brain, that you have to defeat the enemy using this way. From my point of view, is really interesting. Well, this is our last lemmo. I'm going to modify some values in assembly code in order to modify the logic of the ammo and the logic of the health. I discover which offset are related with that values, and I want to search which opcodes are accessing by this address. So as you can see, when I press click to shoot, what I'm doing is to decrease the value. So I assume that that is the opcode in charge of the shoot inside the game. So let's investigate this. So I want to know what is happening in that offset. So I'm going to show the disassembler of this offset. So now in this case, I'm going to cancel that instruction. In assembly code, you cannot delete that instruction because you are moving the rest of the offset. You need to fill with zeros, in this case, with knobs, okay? So let's what is going to happen. I begin to shoot, and as you can see, the value of the ballets is not affected. So I have a very good friends in the game. Now I'm going to do the same with the health. As you can see, each time I receive a ballet, the value of my health is reducing. So I investigate which opcodes are assessing. As you can see, the value is subtracting me. And what happens if I change the value? So as you can see, they are giving more life instead of try to killing me. Well, as you can see, the graphics are not bad. And I'm going to show you what happens if I insert knobs. My friends cannot kill me. The value of the life is still the same. So I'm becoming a rat kid currently. Well, we are reaching to the end of the presentation. This is a short spoiler of the stage 2. I have to talk with Carlos when we are going to release that presentation, because the first place where I'm going to introduce this will be in his channel. So I have to talk with Carlos when. And the talk will is about the usage of cheat engine in programs inside an operating system. So cheat engine allows to you a lot of modifications of legitimate processes, and it's really powerful. So I will teach how to do reverse engineering with cheat engines, how I develop my own POCs, and I will also teach how to detect and how to protect about these actions committed by cheat engines. So I think we are with with a
So thank you very much, Jorge, for this introduction to Happy King video games. I think people was very surprised, especially about the last demo. It was awesome that they just cannot kill you. Now I understand why people from the Cobalt Strike were becoming invincible 10 years ago when I played that. So thank you about that.
Counter Strike, no Cobalt.
Counter. So I don't know if we have any questions here. You can ask the question in Spanish or English, but we will try to respond in English. Anybody here? Nope. So at the beginning, you mentioned that if you do this in, well, real life video games, in some video games, you might be banned. You talking in first real life experience
No, at the
or
moment.
not for the moment?
Only friends.
Only-
Only friends.
Cool. And can I ask you how did you started doing this and how did you manage to think about, hey, why shouldn't be using cheat engine to introduce, well, to inject code in programs as you want to
Because
do?
with this, from my point of view, you can understand assembly language very fast because you investigate, as you can see, what happened with this. If I press click, the value is reducing. So you know the opcode of how to reduce, and when you begin to understand the modification of the values, you learn new instructions, new structures, and from my point of view, it's really interesting.
Okay, no questions yet, so I will have. Sí, okay.
Hola.
Hola.
Sí, quería preguntar para juegos de la Play y tal, ¿cómo sería la metodología para acceder?
So he's asking about video games in PlayStation, about a methodology.
If you search a little bit, you can find cheat engines for that type of platforms. And you can apply the same methodology because you could PlayStations are like PCs. You can access to the file system and you can put some specific programs like cheat engines and you can do the same. But you have to investigate. I cannot talk about this.
Vale, muchas gracias. Por cierto, muy buena la charla.
Muchas gracias.
Do we have any other question? Okay, I will asking you. Yeah. No. No. Okay, one final question. Okay, we have one. So in the meantime, if you play a shooting video game when you die faster, will you be able to find the address to change it before before dying, or is that going to be complicated?
For the demos, I repeat 20 times because I always get killed. My God, I have to find a safe place.
Okay.
Hi, thanks for the talk. That was really interesting.
Thank you.
Have you tried to bypass some cheating? How is it called? Yeah, anti-cheat, like vanguards from League of Legends or Valorant. It's for a friend.
Yeah. I have a friend that says to me that you will need a kernel level. That type of protections are using that type of methodologies. It's impossible to find how to deal in memory with that. It's really difficult.
It's okay, thanks.
Okay.
Cool. And we have one final question there. And we have another question in there. Okay. People is.
Hello. I have a question regarding these cheats we have seen during the presentation. The majority of them are associated with changing values of static variables. My question is regarding cheats like wallhack or aimbot. Are these cheats or hacks working in the same way or in a different one?
I don't try that. Sorry. I cannot ask. And also I don't have a friend that knows about this. Sorry.
Okay, final one.
Why take these protections to the kernel when these variables can be just stored in the server?
I don't know. That my friend told me that. Sorry.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Jorge.